That was loud. Need my drink. It's so hot in San Diego right now. And Basanti agrees. It's hot as heck out here. So this week I am going to continue with the theme of surviving childhood or childhood abuse. And essentially I'm going to explain how I broke away from the cycle of generational abuse. This is something that I've really struggled with for a long time. And when I say long time, I'm 28 and I've just really begun to feel comfortable in my ability to care for others or ever even have children. And I don't have any children now, and that's just based off of personal reasons. I honestly want to provide the most stable household for my child. I do not feel that I have that quite yet. I don't have a house to live in. I have a successful career, but I want to be able to provide them a solid foundation while they're growing up, something that I did not have as a child. And not only that, I've had to do a lot of work on myself in order to feel confident that I will never turn into my mom or her father or his father. And that is quite often in abusive households, that there's multi-generational abuse. Multi-generations of abuse. And the reason that happens is because it's very hard to break that cycle. And I will explain a little bit later as to why it's so hard to break that cycle. But essentially in my mom's family, they definitely had a challenging upbringing. This goes from like my great-grandfather to my mom. They all grew up on dairy farms and they all really struggled to make a living, even to put food on the table. So, and even that in itself is traumatic as a child. Topping that with emotional neglect or physical abuse, which my mom doesn't talk a lot about her childhood other than that it was traumatic. And she's told me stories of my grandfather's childhood, and none of which sound like healthy family dynamics, nor do they sound like a healthy childhood. And the biggest problem with generational abuse is that it's a cycle, and if you think about it, cruelty breeds cruelty. As you can see, the cycle begins with the parent. In this case, it represents my mother. The cycle continues to the child. The child will learn that this is acceptable behavior or normal behavior. In this case, it represents me. The cycle is then passed to the next generation, or potential children. The only way to break that cycle is to stop passing it to the next generation. In my case, it's me holding the key to the next generation. Because a child, I love you and I would love to have you part of this conversation, but no one understands bird language. I mean, do you want to come sit with me? What, Miss Auntie, come sit with me. Come here. What a good girl, you're so smart. Thank you. We're back. Okay. Where was I? Oh, Dad's home. Dad's home! Dad's home! So before intermission, I was trying to explain how I broke the cycle of abuse. So the first way I ended up breaking this cycle was seeking therapy, and it took a lot of personal growth and introspect to be able to understand what was going on and why I felt the way I felt and have certain behaviors left over from childhood. And my therapist taught me the things that I should have been taught as a child. My therapist was the one who ended up teaching me those things. So it wasn't until I was able to address these symptoms that I was able to learn what a healthy and non-toxic relationship really looks like. I wasn't able to form meaningful and long-term relationships until I was able to address or go through the healing process. And it honestly wasn't until I met my husband that I didn't really have super healthy relationships. I would say my husband is the first individual who is truly healthy. I don't want to say normal because like normal is very subjective, but he is for sure not a toxic individual, and I could go on and on about him, but because he's my husband and I love him, he's like no other person I've ever met, and that's why I married him. But with that said, the first step, again, is to find a therapist, address the symptoms that you're having, or stop denying what you went through as a child is impacting you as an adult. And everything kind of falls into place after that. Like it just gets bigger and bigger, and it's almost like the snowball effect, right? As you have to start somewhere and you have to let it grow, and it gets easier as it gets bigger. I hope this is helpful information and that it's pertinent. Like I always do, I'm going to include some links below that will help you find more resources or allow you to maybe find help if you need it. If this video seems super pertinent or you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like my channel or find it pertinent to yourself, please subscribe. I will see you guys next week.